Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome to a brand new decade of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. It's a brand new month, it's a brand new year, it's a brand new week, it's a brand new decade. First show of 2020 right here. The night shift to DJ Kevin Stew Community and Finance Night. And I want to say thank you to each and everyone for being locked in right now. Those of you locked in from WGLRO, home of the morning show down in Walker, taking you from the sheets to the streets. The People Station, connecting you with connecting everyone from Detroit to Denmark and everywhere in between. I want to say big ups to all those who locked in on One Harmony Radio out of the UK. Top of the morning to you. King Genius Musica and King Genius and Queen Genius, big ups to you. Stuck on musical genius, boy. I want to say big ups to all those locked in on PEMGTV.com, and of course right here at the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com. Glad to have you. Couldn't do it without you, and I wouldn't even try. You have my word on that. Inviting you all to jump into the stew pot on kevinstew.com, and big ups to those on TuneIn Radio. Kevin Stew, the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew on TuneIn Radio. Also, I didn't forget you. I'm not leaving you out, okay? Just so that you know. Kicking it off with a little Jessa Lee. The future of soca music right here. Offspring of Leon Caldero. 10-year-old sensation. Teaching us a little something. Teaching us how to spell S-O-C-A. Soca.
When I touch down, I want to be in everything we told me, friend and name family, yeah. I wanna get the tongue, cause I love the vibes. The music on me so high. Carnival is part of me. I wanna jump, I wanna wave, I want to run my belly, I'm hungry for more. It's soca I love, yeah. I wanna jump, I wanna wave, I want to run my belly, I'm hungry for more. It's soca I love. Won't be spelling S-O-C-A, soca, boy, you're S-O-C-A. Won't be spelling soca, S-O-C-A, soca, boy, you're S-O-C-A. Won't be spelling soca. I'm in love with the music, yeah. I just can't get enough for the joy that I find. I don't want to lose it, no. So leave me, just let me go. When I touch down, I want to be in everything we told me, friend and name family, yeah. I wanna get the tongue, cause I love the vibes. The music on me so high. Carnival is part of me. I wanna jump, I wanna wave, I want to run my belly, I'm hungry for more. It's soca I love, yeah. I wanna jump, I wanna wave, I want to run my belly, I'm hungry for more. It's soca I love. Won't be spelling S-O-C-A, soca, boy, you're S-O-C-A. Won't be spelling soca, S-O-C-A, soca, boy, you're S-O-C-A. Won't be spelling soca. When I touch down, I want to be in everything we told me, friend and name family, yeah. I wanna get the tongue, cause I love the vibes. The music on me so high. Carnival is part of me. I wanna jump, I wanna wave, I want to run my belly, I'm hungry for more. It's soca I love, yeah. I wanna jump, I wanna wave, I want to run my belly, I'm hungry for more. It's soca I love. Won't be spelling S-O-C-A, soca, boy, you're S-O-C-A. Won't be spelling soca, S-O-C-A, soca, boy, you're S-O-C-A. Won't be spelling soca.
We're spelling Soca, S-O-C-A. Alright, so in a few minutes we're gonna be joined by Senator Bobby Powell had to just finish up with some things before he could join us. And in the meantime, though, I want to chat with you guys just a little bit before he comes on. Now, we have entered into a new year. Big ups, Marlon. Welcome. I see Marlon there in the stew pot. I invite you guys to jump into the stew pot. It's what others would call a chat room. We're over here on kevinstew.com. We're fancy. So it's the stew pot. The water is it's where we keep things bubbling. The water is always fine. Just inviting you to jump on in. Marlon is already there, host of Real Rockers. And Marlon comes on Mondays and Wednesdays and does an awesome show. If you've never caught it, believe me, you need to catch it. And you've heard me talk about it from Jump Street. So do catch Marlon on the night shift. Sorry, on Real Rockers. Occasionally on the night shift. Yeah, he does call in from time to time. But he's on from 7 to 10 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays. Real Rockers. Big ups, Marlon. All right, so for those of you who are connected with me on social media, you'd have seen that I made a couple of posts today as it relates to things happening in our world. And the situation with Iran is one of those things. But the other thing is the situation in Australia. And that is one of those things that is really, really concerning. In addition to that, so Australia is burning, and it's not just one part of Australia. And California was on fire just last month. In addition to that, you have Puerto Rico that was hit with a 5.7 magnitude earthquake. And there was substantial damage in Puerto Rico. But this wasn't the first earthquake that we're having there. It's a series of earthquakes and tremors. And, tremors is just a small earthquake. So here it is. They had a smaller earthquake that shook the foundation and the walls of some structures. And then they had this, call it mid-scale 5.7 earthquake that really brought some damage. And it's because of the activity between the North American and the Caribbean plates. But I don't know if anybody else is asking the question, what is causing this activity? And I am starting to think about things like that right now. So yeah, the Earth's crust moves. It's not just solid. Because of cracks and fault lines and the such, there's movement. But have we ever stopped to think that something that we are doing might contribute to this movement? Has anybody stopped to think about that? Yeah, the whole climate change thing. And do we have all the information when it comes to climate change? Are we getting all the information? Yeah, we probably don't have all the information, and we're probably not getting all the information. Can more information be found? Can the average person just decide that they're going to go on a quest to find out what is really going on with climate change? And If so, where do they go? Because, take for example, the volcanoes. The volcano in Russia. Was it Russia? That erupted, and in the summer. So we had that was weird. So I might just cut out. All right. So gremlins go away. So we had a few evenings with some glorious sunsets. Not your regular orange and reds, but there was some purples up in there. And it was just this magnificent. We were witnessing some magnificent sunsets, and many just were in awe and wonder of the art, the tapestry being presented by the creator. And a few would ask the question, wait a minute, why is this happening? And I was in conversation with someone, and they mentioned, hey, listen, did you realize that this earthquake, this volcano, spewed so much ash in the air, and that it changed how the sunset looked as far as South Florida? And then it hit me. Wait a minute. We might be missing out on some information here. We might not be connecting all the dots. Something may be happening in South Florida that is the result of something that happened in Northern Europe. And we don't connect the dots. Because we think that where we are is just our little corner. And what happens in our little corner stays in our little corner. We are safe. Or that is all that matters. Our little corner. But understand this. What happens in our little corner can and often does affect other places. And vice versa. So don't just take it for granted that because you're safe in your little corner means that nothing is going to happen to you. You're safe for the moment. But you must ask the question, what is going on? Welcome 213, glad to have you. And happy new decade to you also. So, are we taking the time to pay attention to what is happening around us? Is basically what I'm getting at. And if not, I do encourage you to start doing so. Start taking that time to pay just a little bit more attention. Don't just go off what little bit you may see on social media and think that that is it. Ask that other question. Dig that far, that much deeper. Because, and I'll tell you this, that's one of the reasons that I do this show. So that we can ask more questions. And hopefully, I can get to provide some answers. But in the event that I don't, at least we stimulate the mind just enough that we can go out there and ask some questions. Before I go on much further, let me make sure that I give some recognition where recognition is due. I want to say thanks to Policy Media Group for still being there and sponsoring this segment of the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. Policy Media Group and being in the moment is priceless. So you can just give them a call. 754-999-6020. That's 754-999-6020. Or visit them at pulseemg.com. And you can tell them, hey, listen, I heard about you on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. And what are some of the things that Pulse can do? Well, everything that you see here on the night shift, they can help you with. If you have a website and you're doing a broadcast on there, they can help you to sort that out. Just like how you are watching me on kevinstew.com, they can hook you up with that. They can host your website. They can build your website. They can be present to set up your stream or to just capture your moment. So just give them a call. If they can't do it, they can help you out with getting it done. Trust me. Pulse Media Group, 754-999-6020, pulseemg.com. Just say you heard about them on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. Gonna drop a little music on you. I introduced this one to you last month. New music coming out of, well, definitely new to me. New music coming out of California. A young lady by the name of Royce. And the track is called Madness. And this is hey, if nothing is quite as appropriate as this tune, is Madness. Some of the things that is going on right now. I won't even say much more on that. But listen out for some more things coming from this young lady here.
Long time coming. Are you ever gonna change? Are you ever gonna to take advice for how I'm feeling? It's been a long time running, and I know you wanna stay. So I think that it is time we live like we used to. Right all around the city, singing with the top down. Let's take it back to when we were younger. It's been a long time coming. So put on a happy face, grab my hand so we can let all of our troubles out. There's no care tonight. Take me for a ride. Even when it's dark, never will lie. Even when it's dark and you lose your mind. Oh, right in the moment when your head is confused. Oh, I will stay in the madness with you. Don't you worry, 'cause you know I understand what it's like to be chewed up and fit out in the cold world. Baby, there's no hurry, as long as you take my hand. We can dance and I won't be the one to let you go. There's no care tonight. Take me for a ride. Even when it's hard, never will lie. Even when it's dark and you lose your mind. Oh, right in the moment when your head is confused. Oh, I will stay in the madness with you. Oh, now you're so crazy. Oh, I'm crazy too. Right in the moment when your head is confused. Oh, I will stay in the madness with you. Whoa, whoa, there's no care tonight. Take me for a ride. Even when the stars never will lie. Even when it's dark and you lose your mind. Oh, right in the moment when your head is confused. Oh, I will stay in the madness with you. Oh, now you're so crazy. Oh, I'm crazy too. Right in the moment when your head is
In just a few more minutes,
stay in the madness with you. Stay in the madness with
we're gonna get to meet Senator Bobby Powell. He'll be calling in just a few moments. But until then, just chit-chatting, connecting, reconnecting, catching up. Well, I want to welcome some of you guys as just joining us in the stew pot. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Those of you who are tuned in, but not in the stew pot. Glad to have you also. Don't think that you are left out by no stretch of the imagination. Greetings, greetings, and salutation. I'm glad to have you. I couldn't do it without you, and I wouldn't try. You have my word on that. Okay? But I do implore you to introduce the show to someone if you haven't already done so. And you can also reach out to me if there's a topic that you want me to touch on. If you have something going on and you'd like to share it, you have that opportunity to do so also on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Just go to the website kevinstew.com and you can connect with me there. There's at the bottom of the page, there's the option to contact me. So just go ahead, drop your message in there. It comes straight to me, right in my email. So it's not like I'm hiding. Of course, you can also drop me a line, 773-789-STEW, and that's a number that gets you in touch tonight also. You can call, you can text, 773-789-7839. All right? So various methods to connect. Those of you who are overseas and would like to get in touch, you can Skype. Kevin.stew is my Skype name. See? Easy. Easy peasy. Now, with what is going on, like I mentioned, on social media, where everybody is getting their news and only getting part of it. Again, I encourage you, use social media for what it is. It's more media than it is social. I've noticed time and time again, and it's increasing somewhat, where people seem to live their lives on social media. You know, if they're looking for, or seemingly looking for some type of validation, they go to social media. If they're looking to share something, of course, you go to social media. The latter is what it is there for. It's more media than it is social. So you have something to share, go ahead. Use up social media to do it. But don't get caught up in it so much that it consumes you. It becomes your lifeline. Yes, it's a great source of news. And like I said, I even use it to share some things. And I shared some things about the volcano that caused the beautiful sunsets that we had experienced over the summer in South Florida. And what was going on in California with the wildfires. And even now, what is happening in Australia. The amount of animals that have died in Australia, it's bound to have some serious ripple effects. And the amount of smoke and soot that's in the atmosphere right now, don't think that because we're in South Florida, we won't be affected by it. The earth is not as big as you may think. And not just that too. I forgot about the Amazon. There were fires in the Amazon. Amazon was on fire. The Amazon provides what, 20% of the Earth's oxygen? If you don't think that is significant, then you have another thing coming. So, with all these fires, when fire consumes something, there's a byproduct. Whatever that byproduct may be, there's going to be some effects of it. And we may not see it next week. But rest assured, it will have some effect. And know that so much wildlife have perished in these wildfires in Australia. Some of this was life that provided meat for families. So there will be also an economical effect to the loss of this animal life. How many of us thought about that? So let's bring it a little closer to home. Puerto Rico had damage from the earthquakes, from the hurricanes earlier last year in the hurricane season. That to date they haven't quite fully recovered from. Here now comes this earthquake that caused more structural damage. Don't you think there will be an effect on Puerto Rico that will affect the rest of the United States? So here we go. Again, this is part of our community. We will be affected. You don't live in a bubble. Your community is not just the development that you live in. Take these things into consideration, people. Let's think a little bit more about our neighbors. Not the people that live next door, but the people that live in the next country, on the next continent, across the next ocean. All of these people, what they do affect us wherever we are. And that's the reality of it, because we're all connected. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick little break. And when we come back from this break, we should have Senator Powell with us. And we get to know Senator Bobby Powell. Yeah? Sound like a plan? Cool. All right. So I'll be back in just a few moments. Call a friend, tell a friend. It's a night shift with DJ Kevin Stew, Community and Finance Night. We'll be right back.
Pulse Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulse Media Group.
2020 is going to be epic. Land Beloved Media Group presents Saturday Night Live, Saturday, January 25th at the Garden, 4340 North State Road 7 in Lauderdale Lakes. Performing live, Lieutenant Stitchy, Ed Robinson, Ricky Stereo, Benji Myers, Little Mickey, and the female trio that's been creating waves across the nation, SDS. All backed by the award-winning Code Red Band. Doors open at 9 p.m., showtime 11 p.m. Tickets available at eventbrite.com. For more information, contact 954-998-8034 or 954-300-2574. Saturday Night Live, January 25th at the Garden. You can't miss this one.
We love it. We love it. Yeah, man.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school,
In math,
I learned that I'm ugly
I
and
learned
useless.
that I'm trash.
And in gym,
In biology,
I learned that I'm
I
pathetic
learned that I'm fat
and a
and
joke.
stupid.
In history,
Today in
I learned that
school,
I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick.
And in
And
gym,
at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell.
and a joke.
In chemistry, I learned that no one
In
likes me.
biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid.
In English,
And in
I learned
math,
that I make people
I
sick.
learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today
The only thing I didn't learn today
The only thing I didn't learn,
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Matthew 28:19 says, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations." With this in mind, and encouragement received during a South Florida media conference, The Church Links was birthed. The Church Links is an interdenominational worship service portal for churches, providing the tools to spread the word through technology in a cost-effective way. The Church Links, www.dahchurchlinx.com. Your links to worship and praise.
It's Christina representing for DJ Kevin. You see me, I say, I don't know the boss. You see me, I say, DJ Kevin's Stew and the night shift radio show. Yo, it at the thing, turn up the thing loud. Whoa, DJ Kevin's Stew at the heart of a champion. Never underestimate, just choose him. The silver line behind the dark clouds. DJ Kevin's Stew believing, and that's no doubt. Salute the night shift radio show, Christina. It's a hot it up. Loud. Kill the beat.
So the more things change, the more them remain the same. Yeah, even though it rains today, yet come tomorrow, it all just drains away. All fades away. Yeah. Today might fill with pain, but come tomorrow, the joy returns again. The joy returns again. And after all the fuss and all the fight, everything they put us through, and after all the cuss and all the suss, the one thing to do is don't forget to remember, come November, their world remain the same. Nothing will change. I'm hoping that you remember, come November, nothing on earth will change. Nothing ever changed, no. The lies that them tell today, come tomorrow, they'll tell them lies again. Same lies, oh, yeah. The system that's in place to keep us in our place will never change. No. Cause after all the fight, they'll take your rights, and we know it's true. And after all the talk, we march and walk, the one thing to do is don't forget to remember.
New music coming at you.
Their world remain the same.
Courtesy of Mr. Ed Robinson.
I'm hoping that that you remember. Come November, it's still the same. Nothing on earth will change. Nothing ever changed. No. Round and round and round. This whole world still goes around. Round and round and round. But sooner or later, they'll feed the ground.
I want to say thanks to our sponsor for this segment,
When will my people
Althea SU, licensed massage therapist.
who start the fire will get
Her business is called Healing Heavenly Hands.
to remember? Come November, they'll
Althea comes to you
say
if you're in Broward County, North Miami-Dade, South Palm Beach County.
that you remember.
Just give her a call, 954-655-9000.
On earth will change.
Or you can email her at thealater@att.net.
The world will remain the same. The world will always remain the same. I'm hoping that you remember. Come November. Nothing
Don't forget to remember, come November. I don't, this time I'm not too sure if things will really remain the same. I do believe there will be a few things that will change this coming November. But tonight's show is not really about that. It's more about this gentleman who will be joining us tonight. And it's been a long time coming, but like I always say, nothing happens before its time. And now is time. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one and only Senator Bobby Powell Jr.
Whoa! Hey, DJ Kevin and Bobby Powell Jr. I am the one and only Senator Powell Jr., but I am the second Bobby Powell, as my dad is the senior.
That's right.
Bobby Powell. So I'm glad to be joining you tonight. Looking forward to sharing with you, telling people what we do in the legislature, introducing myself to people, as well as just being able to generally discuss some of the things that we don't have a good grasp on in life and how to attack those things. A lot of people have asked me how to get involved in politics, how did I get involved, and also what can they do, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to answer many of those questions tonight and just make people interested and prepared for this upcoming election season. We are talking about November of 2020, but what we also need to prepare for is these local elections that will be happening in March in many of our respective areas, and then your local state representatives, your state senators will be up for election, as well as the president who will be up in 2020. I'm more concerned with your local representatives than I am with the president. Although the president has a huge impact, your local people are the ones who are closest to you, the ones on the ground who can directly impact the success and failures of your community. So we need to really talk about that and allow people the opportunity to see how they can step out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, before we get into that, let's find out a little bit about Bobby Powell Jr. Who is Bobby Powell? Because Bobby Powell Jr. is a little bit different from Senator Bobby Powell Jr. Just a little bit. So,
just a little bit.
Who is Bobby Powell? Where did you grow up? What was it like for Bobby Powell growing up?
I'm glad you asked that question. One of my best friends recently said to me, he said that looking at me is a real life example of somebody who actually came from the bottom and has been successful. Many people talk about it, but having a real life example of someone who he saw, who he knew, who came right out of Riviera Beach, who didn't come from a wealthy family, was able to rise through the ranks of politics and become not just a state representative, but eventually become a state senator, is what he saw. Of course, a product of Riviera Beach, but a graduate of Palm Beach Gardens High School.
Mm-hmm.
I spent my time going to school. I went to Palm Beach Gardens Elementary, went to Howard Watkins, and then I went to Palm Beach Gardens High School where I played track. Well, I didn't play track. I guess I ran track and played football, amongst other things. I was an okay student. I didn't get a lot of Fs.
Right.
I don't think I got any Fs in high school, but I mean, French wasn't my thing. I didn't do well in French, and sometimes math was not friendly with me either. So I did okay in high school, and went on to graduate and go to Florida A&M University.
Okay.
And at Florida A&M, I walked onto the track team. And you think about it, I was a high school track and field runner. I ran the 400, the 200, the 100. I was an all-conference track and field athlete, went to state. And then when I went to college, the first year that I tried out for the track team, I was disinvited to come back. The coach cut me, which I was in shock because I had never been cut from a team.
So, wait, hold up. After basically being a star in high school,
correct,
you went to college.
Went to college, and in my head, I was still a star. Okay,
and I'm laughing because not that I'm laughing at you, but because of I can hear the humility in your voice. That was a really humbling experience for you.
Of course. But it was a persevering experience because after getting cut from the track team, I went to the coach's office after we did a time trial. Time trial is where you go and you run, and they get your time, and it's recorded. And then you go up the day after. I went to the coach's office to meet.
Right.
And I'm thinking when I go up there, he's going to tell me, I'm on the team and when we're going to do practice and what are our next steps and maybe give me a workout plan. And, I'm thinking this is the NCAA athlete Division I. So I'm thinking, I'll get a meal plan as well as like my type of workout and whatever supplements. And it was totally the opposite. The coach told me in a nutshell, you're more than welcome to come to the track and practice anytime you want, except for between the hours of 3:30 and 5:30, because that's when the team will be out there. And
wow.
I won't be a part of the team. I don't need to be there. And then he also invited me to come back out and try out again in the spring. And it's very difficult once you have been cut or you failed something,
right,
to kind of pick yourself back up and say, all right, he cut me and I'm going to go back out here, because not only did you fail or was I cut, and I, along with many other people, were cut, but the embarrassment of facing the person who told you, don't come back out.
Yeah. I have had that experience.
Well, what I can tell you is I did not go back out in the spring. I ended up running into the coach, and this will be in my book. I wrote this a while back, and I know how it goes in the book. I ran into the coach at a convocation, and at convocation, he says to me, hey, son, how are you? And I was just like, man, why did I run into this guy? But I never shake, never shiver, I don't show any fear.
Right.
And I was like, I'm doing well. He says, you didn't come back out to the track team and try it again in the spring. And I said, yeah, I forgot, right? Something like that, something along those lines. I just made up some excuse.
Right.
And he said, well, I want to see you come back out and try it again in the fall. And in reality, I was thinking to myself, one, you are not about to embarrass me again like that. And two, I'm glad that you asked me to come back and try it again, but it won't be happening because I'm over that. Although I was training every day, still running, still preparing myself, because in my head, I still was a runner.
Yeah.
I ended up going back out in the fall to try out for the track team again, and I ended up some kind of way allowing the coach to convince me to become a pole vaulter. I never pole vaulted a day in my life, and you know what we've told people and what has been said many times is that black people don't pole vault.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're looking at or you're talking to someone who was a black person who ended up pole vaulting for FAMU. I walked onto the track team. I earned a spot as a pole vaulter, and eventually I even earned a scholarship, which is generally unheard of, to walk onto a team to participate and do an event you have never done before, pole vault of all things, and then to earn a scholarship. So God had blessed my life, and he continues to do so. I created these visions many times that God has allowed to manifest. Almost nearly everything that I've created in my head and put in the atmosphere, God has allowed to come to fruition. And it's funny because life is something that we live. And I was telling a young man a couple of days ago that it happened so quickly from me being the person who's requesting a recommendation letter to me being the person who is writing recommendation letters for many people.
Right. Let me ask you this. When you got turned down for the team, then you saw the coach you got that invitation and you made up an excuse to move on to get a scholarship doing something you never did. When you look back at that, what is the thought other than saying, yes, God did this for me? What is the thought that comes to mind that when you see that young person that is thinking about what to do next? What is the thought that comes to mind?
Well, it's simple. There's a book by, I think his name is Spencer. What is his name? His name is Spencer. He also wrote The Present, I think. Spencer Johnson, right? And the book is called Who Moved My Cheese? And many times, our cheese is constantly, and what it is these two rats were in there and they were eating cheese from a certain location, and then eventually that cheese went away and they had to keep moving along the path to find more cheese.
Right.
That's a really good book because it's a good analogy that in life, sometimes we are dead set on doing a certain thing, right? And we'll go at that thing. And I had a minimal amount of success in high school as a track and field athlete. And then when I got to, and that was as a runner, right?
Yes.
And then I got to college and I wanted to have that same level of success. However, when I failed, I went back at the cheese. The cheese was no longer in the same location. So I still had a passion for running. I had a passion for being on a team, but competing as an individual, right?
Right.
A track and field team, you're on the team, but you're an individual athlete.
Right.
So I still had that passion. And what ended up happening is when I came back to the track team as a pole vaulter, my cheese had moved. I had moved into a new direction that was not a location where everyone else was. It was a different space. And the opportunity to earn a scholarship was even better because had I participated as a walk-on runner, I may have not earned that scholarship. And also what I also found out from doing so is that we are so gifted. If we put our minds to it, there's infinite amount of things that we can do. However, many times we're stuck on this location or this one item or this one thing that we believe we were set out to do.
Right.
And because we've stuck and stayed in that spot, when our cheese is moved, we don't even realize it. We keep going to the same location thinking that, well, this is where I'm supposed to be because this is what I think I'm good at. But you have to be willing to open your eyes, look for different opportunities, follow the cheese, keep moving down the beaten path, because if you don't, you will be stuck in the same location that you're at. So I use that same analogy even into this position that I'm in today as a state senator. I was an urban planner. I am an urban planner. As a matter of fact, I'm the only certified planner in the legislature, meaning that I am
certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners, dealing with land use and development. However, when I got my degree from Florida State and I worked for the city of West Palm Beach, I was in the city of West Palm Beach for about 18 months before there was what they called an economic reduction in workforce or a downturn in the economy, resulting in part in me no longer working for the city of West Palm Beach. I could have kept applying for planning jobs, which I did. However, because the cheese was consistently moving, this was 2008, Barack Obama had just become president. It was the in thing to be. I was a young black man who owned a few suits without any history of a criminal record. It became the in thing to do for black folk or for young African-American males, especially, to be interested or take an interest in politics, which I did. And eventually I ended up working for Mac Bernard, who was the state representative when he got elected to be state rep. And in 2012, I was elected to the state representative's position myself. So I became a state representative. I was elected in August of 2012 at the age of 30. And I was sworn in. I turned 31 by the time I was sworn in. However, I thought it was just an amazing opportunity to be 30 years old from Riviera Beach to be in elected office as a state representative, which was just, it was an amazing opportunity to come from where I've come from, to have done the things that I've done. People ask me many times, Kevin, they'll go, well, you, what is it like to be a state senator? Aren't you just amazed? Or can you believe that you're a state senator? Where I'm from, I'm from Riviera Beach, a small place where we have produced some great people, but where the people who I saw growing up, the people who I related to most, everything that I was able to accomplish was like a milestone. I'm the same person who graduated from high school, so being elected is no different from being successful by just graduating from high school, because I knew a lot of people who didn't. Right. And then to be able to not only graduate from college, but just to go to college, I was excited to be there. Now, I didn't know many people who were Division I college level athletes. When I made the track team at FAMU, that was just an amazing feat within itself. So when a person asks, is it just, can you believe that you're a state representative or a state senator? I'm like, man, I can't believe that. Or I have the same feeling I had when I became a track and field athlete at FAMU when I made the team. I have the same feeling that I have when I became a student at FSU studying for my master's degree. I'm one of the few kids in my family out of the 40-something or 50-something grandchildren, just regular grandchildren that my grandmother had. I'm one of the few who has a master's degree. Now, I've got a cousin who also has a master's degree, and I have another cousin. Of all the grandkids, my grandmother had 8 boys and girls, 4 boys, 4 girls. Right. Out of all of their children, only 3 of us have advanced degrees. 2 of us have master's degrees, and 1 of us has a law degree. My cousin Glenda is a New York, an attorney in New York. But of all the grandchildren, we were the few who were able to meet that level of success. And my grandmother was a person who I watched when I was growing up. My grandmother was born in 1911. And I would watch her in the 80s dress up, put on a white maid's outfit, and drive over to Palm Beach to clean somebody's house.
Over to the island.
Over to the island to clean houses. My grandmother, what the effect is, my grandmother did not have the opportunity or the ability to have an education that allowed her to be a doctor or a lawyer or a school teacher.
Right.
So my grandmother couldn't set us up to be the same thing because she had not been that. She couldn't pass on her law firm to me. She couldn't. My grandfather died before I was ever born. When my mother was a child, my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, passed away. I got a chance to meet my dad's father and my dad's mother, but they were in Defuniak Springs, which was a long way away from here. And I just didn't have that connection. So my family, I was able to watch people become successful, and many of them weren't in my family, but I knew what success looked like because if I saw it, I figured if this person who's got 2 arms and 2 legs like me can be successful, then I can do the same thing.
Right. Did you think that when the coach suggested that you try something else in track and field, did you feel like he was putting you down, or did you think that he probably saw something in you that you didn't realize?
You know, I never give anybody the power to put anything on me. What I felt from the coach was that he was going to give me an opportunity to be a pole vaulter, and I was going to use that and utilize that opportunity to continue running and to be one of the best runners as well as one of the best pole vaulters on the team. So I never really gave the coach any power over me or any thought. I never let anyone's perception of me become my own reality. Generally, what I'll say is, and even in the position that I am in today as an elected official, there are people who despise me, there's people who love me, and there's people who just generally don't care.
Right.
I waste little time focusing on the people who despise me. Because if you meet any level of success, if you are a thought leader, if you are trending, if you are what the young people say, if you popping, then you're gonna have people who hate you, no matter what you do. You look at the way he walks, look at the way he look at his car. His car ain't all that, or his car is all that, or look at his hair, or look, you're gonna have those people. If you don't have those people, then you really aren't as popping as you think you are. And you're gonna have people who love you, and you can do no wrong. You can basically do something illegal, and they'll be like, "Oh, I love him still." Whatever happened, you can get in a fight with, I don't know, some random person, and they're still going to support you. And then there's that percentage of people who are just in the middle that don't care one way or another, and you can win them over.
Yeah.
But many times people spend our time focusing on the people who just aren't going to like you, and you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy. My mom told me when I was a kid that I used to be a kid who wanted to be liked by everybody.
Yeah.
And my mother said, "Listen, baby, everybody ain't going to like you. So you do your best to worry about yourself and worry about me and this family, because those people who you worried about, they don't put any food on your table.
Yes.
They don't put any clothes on your back, and they don't put anything in this house to have a roof over your head. So when you're worried about those people, I'm not understanding why, because they don't have a pot to pee in or one to throw it out of, and if they do, they're sure not going to give it to you, right?"
That's right.
So I spend little time and effort on people who, who can have an opinion of me that is not my own opinion.
It's funny you should say that, because just today I shared on social media something that a self-awareness author that I happen to respect, Don Miguel Ruiz. He authored the book The Four Agreements. He put out a post today on social media that said, "What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be a victim of needless suffering."
Correct. That's just so true.
That's
true.
just exactly what you just said.
Think about it. That is the biggest truth you could ever have.
Yeah.
You know what? We spend countless hours, and I can't convince anybody to follow the trend. I was reading an article in Entrepreneur Magazine a little bit earlier by Will.i.am, about Will.i.am, and Will.i.am, and I quote, he says something along the lines of, he doesn't follow trends or the brands, especially when he was in school and he couldn't afford to have shoes like
Wait,
Jordan.
hold on 1 second. 1 second, Bobby. Senator Paul, hold on 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. So
So when
you're saying you were reading about Will.i.am saying he doesn't follow trends?
right, Will.i.am indicated,
Yeah.
I'm getting feedback here now, but he indicated that he didn't follow the trends when he was in high school. Him and his friends would go to a thrift store and get outfits that were different
Yeah.
and rock those outfits and make the people who were rich or wealthy or trendsetters want to emulate what they were doing. So the idea is we have to stop trying to follow trends and start creating them.
Right.
Who is to say, so many people run around here trying to get the newest Jordans or trying to get the newest Lacoste shirts or the most ridiculous thing that I've seen is Kanye West has shoes, the Kanye West shoes. Do you know these shoes cost over $2,000, $3,000?
One pair of shoes?
A pair of shoes.
You got to be playing.
And these are they call them the Yays or something. And this is like a $3,000 pair of shoes. They're red shoes.
Yeah, he can keep that.
But people will buy these because they want to be branded or they want this type of brand and it makes them feel important. When you're trying to impress other people by purchasing things to make yourself feel good because you're hoping that they will like these things and they may not even like you, you're wasting your time. If you're going to spend $3,000 on a pair of shoes and not $3,000 on some professional development or an educational course to and brighten up your brain, then you are wasting your life. If you show me a person who is 20 years old and 10 years from now they turn 30 and they've got the same mentality, and trust me, I know some of these people.
Yes.
I will show you a person who has wasted 10 years of his or her life. As a matter of fact, I was talking to somebody on the phone recently, and I don't really like wasting my time like that, but this guy was telling me something that should be coming from somebody who's in his early 20s, and he's in my age bracket.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself during the whole conversation, brother, you wasted your life because your thought process has not evolved with your age. See, because I've been 20, I've been 30, I'm almost 40, but somebody like my father has been 50, he's been 60, he's been 70, he's been 72. My dad can tell me what it's like to be those ages.
Yeah.
I can tell him what it's like for me to be in my 30s today, but he was already in his 30s. So he knows what it's like. So what I'm telling you is that as we continue to grow, and every day is a growth opportunity. If you waste any days, you're wasting opportunities to become better, the better you. But if you are 10 years from now in the same exact position and predicament that you are in today, you've wasted 10 years of your life. And we need to get away from points where we do that. And the way you don't waste your life is by not wasting your life being concerned with people who put nothing into your life, what their thought process is of you. If somebody who's never paid for a class for you, has never given you a dime, who's never spoken life into you, because see, life and death abide in the power of the tongue. If they've never said any good words to you and you spend your time trying to impress them, you are wasting your time. And many times I've seen people do that. Well, I just want to show them what I'm going to be able to do. For what? I'm going to show them, you watch. They're gonna hate me when I do this. And it's like, don't ever do anything to try to make somebody else have a feeling towards you or want to be like you, because that's not what they're after.
Yes.
Right? You do your things to be successful because you want your kids and your family and the people around you who you love to be successful. None of my success is for me. Right? I'm just a vessel who has become successful in order for other black kids who grew up in the same situation that I grew up in to see that, hey, if he can do it, then I can do it. I mean, my mother was disabled for the last 11, 12 years of her life. She died when I was 19.
Condolences.
She was, sick a lot.
Yes.
She would come home from dialysis and throw up and then she would get up and cook a meal for us. I saw this every day. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to go to school and worry about your mother. I know what it's like to go to school and know that my oldest sister was not around because she was on drugs. I've been in those situations. So when people look at me and they've not seen my story or they don't know my story,
Yeah.
and they see the glory, they're like, oh, well, he gets to wear suits and, do speeches. They don't see me studying late at night. They don't see me stressing out, try to make sure these things are perfect or at least as good as I think they should be. Those are the things that they see the story, but they see the glory, but they don't understand the story.
Yes.
And Maya Angelou says, people look at the grass and think that the grass is greener on the other side, but what they don't realize is that the light bill is much higher.
Say that again. Say that again.
No, it's absolutely true. They look at it and they say, well, the grass is greener on the other side. But when you're looking at that green grass, and the grass is much greener on this side, but the water bill is much higher.
Yeah.
The fees, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the stress is a higher level. I've gone through things that many people can't even imagine and was able to come out of them. Perseverance. God has created us to be stronger. And when you go through things, you're able to reach your higher potential. People want to have the success, but they don't want to see the failure. If you show me a person who's been successful and they've not had any failures, I'll show you somebody who's not been as successful as they should be.
Right. Yep. I believe it. Just like how I would often say, if you're not growing, where there's no growth, then if you're not growing, you're stagnant. And what is stagnant is dead.
Exactly.
So you should be growing.
Exactly.
And you presented it perfectly when you told us, you gave the story of your friend that at age 30 giving 20-year-old speeches.
Right. There's certain things that you grow out of, or you should grow out of.
Yeah.
Right? And many times we don't progress. And I'm not knocking it. Hey, I've got friends who still play video games, but they've got responsibilities that they're able to take care of before they play those video games.
Right.
If you're 38 and your day looks like this, you wake up, you play video games until about 3 or 4, you get ready to go work a retail job for a couple hours, and then come back home and continue playing video games without when you go to this retail job, not even trying to figure out how can I take steps up, how can I get into management, how can I use this to capitalize on my next level. You don't do any visioning in terms of seeing where you want to be. You don't set any goals. Then you're not growing. Anyone who does not set goals, Les Brown has a quote. Les says that people don't fail because they aim high and miss. Is that they aim low and hit. Meaning that if you want to work at McDonald's, and I've seen these people all the time, they go, hey, Senator, I need a job. Well, what I can tell you is that most people who need a job have a job.
Yes.
Because they are workers. People who don't have a job are lazy, okay? Hey, I need a job. I got my job as a state representative because I volunteered for a campaign. And eventually that volunteer position turned into a paid position as a staffer, which led to me running for office. I've spoken to people before and I said, hey, would you like to volunteer for my campaign? And these people volunteer. Man, I don't do nothing for free. Well, if I had that same attitude, I don't do anything for free, I would not be the state senator today. I would not be. I started out for free. And today, I'm a state senator. But I'm okay with those people who don't get it, because what I do know is that life is about choices.
Yes.
Because many people who are smarter than me, who may be more tenacious than me, who may be even better than me, but because they made the choice not to jump out there,
Yeah.
They made the choice not to try to accomplish something because they want to be paid, or they don't want to earn the success because they don't understand that you learn by doing, and being in position around different people will elevate you to another level. Because so many people have decided not to do such a thing, I've been able to be elevated because God has put me in position to do so. And those people who may have been better than me, who may have been a great state representative, state senator, U.S. congressman, or whatever success they could have had, they chose not to because they were afraid that they would be taken advantage of because they had to do some work and not get paid for it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay. I don't complain about being successful.
You know, it's funny. I very seldom tell the story. I volunteered at the Salvation Army for probably 3 years, and I was working with young people. I was teaching music, and people didn't get it. Now, a part of it was, I grew up going to the Salvation Army as a child in Jamaica, and I learned to play music in the Salvation Army. So a part of it was giving back to the organization that taught me a skill. But a part of it was also the fact that at the time, I wasn't able to be employed by the Salvation Army. So I had the opportunity to volunteer. When the time came for me to be employed by the Salvation Army, they gave me a job. And that job started in a whole different state. And it brought me back to Florida. And it's someone in the stew pot said success and failure represent two sides of the same coin. And even that statement is so deep. The what a lot of people miss is exactly that, what you say. The volunteering, they're looking for the payout. Sometimes that payout doesn't come at that moment.
Correct.
And it goes right back to where you started with who moved my cheese. That recognition that the cheese has moved and you have to do something else to get that prize. And it may not be that thing that you are strong at, but it is that thing that you can do because that thing that you learned how to do, that thing that you're strong at. And a lot of times we miss it. And we like you said, we're not successful because we aim low and we hit. So that little thing that you could do and you're successful, yes, you've become so good at doing it. But that's not what you're called to do. And you don't recognize it. At what point did you recognize that I know you mentioned it was a thing to do with young black men to get involved in politics, but do you see it as a calling? Or did you see it as at the next challenge that you could conquer?
I will tell you this. My mother, when she was sick, I spent a lot of time helping her, taking her places, driving her to wherever she wanted to go, and spending a lot of time just making sure that she was okay. And she would be so happy when I reached some milestone of success.
Mm-hmm.
She lived vicariously through me. She couldn't walk, but if I got an award, she was so happy. She would put it on the refrigerator or talk about it or tell her friends, my baby did this. And when she passed, I had a void in my life because I was so used to helping my mother, and no longer was I helping her.
Yeah.
So when I got involved in politics and just volunteering in general, it wasn't originally just politics. It was just me volunteering my services because
I speak the language of planners, and the language of planners means that I talk about setbacks, variances, land use descriptions. Uh, I talk all the things I can. I speak the language of all things that are economic development, all things that deal with planning. And a lot of people don't understand or speak planner talk, and that even deals with the acronyms, LULUs, which are locally unwanted land uses, but bananas build absolutely nothing near anything near anywhere. NIMBY, which is not in my backyard. All these different planning terms: brown fields, gray fields, green fields, potable water, indirect potable reuse. All these things that people don't understand, I had a good grasp of because I have a master's degree in planning.
Right.
So getting involved in the community and being able to help gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging and a sense of I'm helping somebody again. So it made me happy. And that eventually evolved into me working on the Mac Bernard campaign for state representative, and eventually led to me working in his office as a legislative assistant and eventually a state representative.
How effective do you think what you've been through, things that you have seen growing up in Riviera Beach, and I know what Riviera Beach is like, I used to live there. Growing up in Riviera Beach, working in Palm Beach, how much effect do you think all that has had with how you operate right now?
Hey, good question. I will tell you that no matter where you grow up, it's what is instilled in you, what your convictions are. I grew up in Riviera Beach, but I also grew up in the church. I grew up in the school. My parents practiced and preached to me principles that they espoused of excellence as opposed to mediocrity. I remember times where I sat at the table crying because I was being forced to do my homework, or I gave my mom a paper that I thought I was going to turn in to the teacher, and she balled it up and said, "This is chicken scratch." Do you know how bad it feels to give your mom some work that you think you are going to turn in, and she balls it up and says it's chicken scratch and redo it?
Yeah, I do.
So that shaped my environment. I had to learn how to read because I spent time every night with my mom teaching me how to read, showing me how to do my math problems. We went through flashcards. I used to do very well in elementary school on spelling tests because my mother went through my words with me frequently. Repetition is the mother of knowledge, meaning that the more you repeat something, the better opportunity you have of memorizing and learning it.
Right.
So there was no opportunity. There was very little opportunity to be mediocre. I would go to church and we had to do speeches. I also thought it was fun to do an Easter speech or to do a Christmas speech or be a part of the Christmas play. And back then we took pride. Like, we used to go to church and be like, I'm going to show these other kids that I learned my speech, my Easter speech, and I'm going to show their mama and them. I'm going to show my Sunday school teacher that I know my speech by heart. And you just be proud to be like, Miss such and such, Miss Stephanie, I know my speech by heart. Nowadays, I'm not knocking anybody's children, but they don't have anything on the way when I grew up. Some of these kids, now there are some kids who are brilliant, whose parents really take time with them and show them how to read and write and prepare their speeches. But there's some who expect that kids will learn everything they need to learn in school.
Yeah,
and if you
from
think that's
the
case,
teachers, yeah.
your kids will not be successful. Because a lot of learning has to happen at home, has to happen on the weekends, has to happen when you got time. And I know it's not easy, especially if you have to work a job where you're working from 3 to 11 at night. And by the time you get home, your kids are asleep. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
You're talking about the ones that only have one job to work.
And that's very rare because if you're a single parent, the truth is
unemployment levels here in Palm Beach County are around 2.3 or 2.8%, below 2 percentage points, below 3%. But most of the people I know are working 2 and 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes very difficult for those parents to really spend that time with the children, making sure that they learn.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out a way, whether you make grandma do it or make their brothers and sisters sit down with them. You cannot leave it to chance. I know it's very difficult, but it has to be done.
You know, that leads me to want to ask, you know, what methods you see as tools to get it done. But that really gets us into the other aspect of you, and we don't even have the time to get into the other aspect of you. And I want the other aspect of you, the application of who you are to what you do, to for people to really get a grasp of it. Which is why when we're talking about doing this, I was saying to you, you know, I have a feeling we're probably going to need to do 2 shows.
Well, we can definitely do that. That doesn't hamper me. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to kick knowledge back to people. So many people have delivered knowledge to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's only necessary and I think it's only right to be able to deliver some of that same knowledge to other people in terms of making sure that people get what I got, right? The greatest gift is knowledge, and the greatest investment is an investment in people. You know,
Yes.
you can do whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, but if you are neglecting to invest in people, then you're neglecting to get the best return on investment you can ever get.
Mm.
I say that to say, I mean, I'll put it to you like this.
Yeah.
I'm political now. When I was elected, I really didn't have any political friends or any elected friends. But since I've been elected, many of my other friends have either gotten elected or I've become friends with some elected officials. And it's an interesting journey because when you surround yourself with different people, you become what those people are. And that also develops into another level of success. You can only be as successful as the people who you put around you. And if you hang around, it's that story of your network.
Mm-hmm.
If your network is, let's just say if your network is trash, you're going to be trash.
Yes.
But if you have good people around you, you'll become successful and you'll become like those people. The challenge is to seek those people out.
Yeah. That can be quite tricky. Someone posted in the stew pot, often you cannot achieve an enduring success without first experiencing failure. And following that up, they asked, you know, what is next for you, Senator Powell, politically? And boy, that's if that is such a loaded question.
Well, that's a great question. I will tell you what's up for me next, as far as I know,
Yeah.
is that I'm up for re-election in 2022 as a state senator. I've got another term
Mm-hmm.
to be state senator. And then after I finish another term as state senator, it really all depends. I've garnered a great skill set and met some really, really great people in my time as an elected official.
Yeah.
And those relationships will help me in terms of building business or working in my own personal business, or even if I want to go further in politics or go somewhere else in politics, there's always that opportunity. So, and as far as politics in the immediate future, as far as I know today, and things are constantly changing, things can change in an instant.
Right.
I mean, this would have been my last term as a state rep if I had not run to the Senate. As far as I know today, I am still running for the Senate in 2022. But, you know, you never know what happens. Life throws things on you, and it could be as quickly as tomorrow. I could be running for a whole nother seat.
Mm.
But you never know.
But I will tell you this, regardless, I will always put myself in position to be the best servant of the people who I can be and live a life of service. My great family member, a great uncle by the name of James Barge, who is a former bureau chief for the Department of Education, Dr. James Barge, would say that a life of service is a life that counts. And I often use that same thing. I've used it so much that other elected officials have even started to say it, but they always attribute it to me.
Nice.
And that attribution, I always think I would appreciate that. I do appreciate that they say a life of service is a life that counts, and it's attributed to me. But it did come from my great uncle, Dr. James Barge, who would often say a life of service is a life that counts. And he was just an amazing man that I didn't get a chance to meet until a later part of my life, but what an experience.
You talk a lot about family. It really says that family is really important to you.
It is. It is. Why? Because our family is our connection to the past. And our family, our children, are our connection to a future that we will never see. Our children, we have children who will eventually, hopefully, have children. And those children are our direct seeds that we will never see. But if they know about us and they know the things that we've done and accomplished and struggled to get, then it also pushes them to be successful because they are indeed a part of us and we are indeed a part of our past. That's why it's so important for familial history to be from different places to be lost. And that's why it's important for people to learn how to keep records of their own history. Because as long as the hunter tells the story, then the lion will always be the evildoer.
Yes.
The lion will never be the victor in the hunter's story. So I say that to say that if you are listening to my voice tonight and you don't journal and you don't write about your successes or your parents' successes or your failures, and you have children, and at some point we will all die, right? Because death is the world's greatest creation because it always creates newness, right?
Yes.
If you don't write these things down and deliver them as messages to the future, then your future loses out because the only way you can communicate with your great-great-great-grandchildren is by writing something down today and pushing it through the generations. You won't be able to deliver that. You won't be able to deliver that journal. But if your great-great-great-grandchildren know that, oh, Stu, my last name is Stu. Or, I mean, if you have a daughter and her name gets changed and she's still, if they trace it back, this is my direct descendant. This is who I'm from. This is what they went through. This is how they became successful. These are their failures. These are their words, their thoughts, their deeds.
Yeah.
If they know that, then it empowers them.
Yeah.
Many of us don't know who our grandparents were, our great-great-grandparents. And because of that, we're lost. We're in a world where we don't know who we really are. And even if we can trace to an extent, many of us cannot trace our ancestral roots back to Africa.
Yeah.
And when we can't do that, I know other nationalities, other races who can tell you that, yeah, I remember, well, I don't remember, but, you know, my great-great-great-grandfather came over here on a ship from Ireland or Scotland and this and that.
Yeah.
Many of us can't tell you when our ancestors came to this country or dropped in any island because we don't know.
Yeah.
That history ain't recorded. And if it was recorded, it was destroyed.
Yes. Now, you mentioned earlier in the conversation, in the true conversation, how about a book. And you just kind of glanced over it and moved on. But I caught that. What's this talk about a book?
Okay, so I'm finishing up a book called Moments for Life. And I started journaling a long time ago because I've experienced a lot of things that people from where I'm from have never experienced and don't have the same opportunities that I've had.
Yeah.
So what I've done is put a lot of this in writing, and we've got about 200 and something pages now. It is in the process of getting ready to go to the editor for a first edit, and I'm hopeful that sometime within the next 6 months, or definitely hopefully before the end of the year, I'm able to release the book for public consumption. And I think it'll be a good read. It talks about a lot of the things in my life that people would not know about.
Yeah.
Are unheard, and a lot of the things that are obstacles that other people have probably experienced and have allowed to stop them, but showing them that, hey, if I can go through these things, little me, then you can do the same and be just as successful or much more successful.
Right. Because, like you said, a lot of people would see you today, a successful politician, and think, okay, he had it made, because the history of politicians typically goes with the grandfather and or the uncle and the father, and then it comes down the line, and this connection and that connection. No, you came up through the ranks, working your way up.
Yeah, absolutely. If you know your grandfather or your father or your uncle or your great uncle was an elected person, then automatically in your head, in your mindset, you know that that's attainable.
Mm-hmm.
But for many of us, we just don't have that.
Yeah.
We don't have it. And by me being able to attain that, then my children, my daughter, and if I have any other children at some point, will know that they can attain the same thing because they are of the same gene. The strongest thing that you can have are bloodlines.
Yes.
And that's why I talk about family, because family is connected through bloodline. And when you know you come from a strong bloodline, I know I'm from a family of people who have marched in the civil rights. I know some of my family members were connected to W.E.B. Du Bois when many years ago. When you know there are bloodlines that your family is attached to, then you know you can be successful and do some of the same things. So I think that's very, very important to recognize and realize.
That does say something about you. And I guess you are doing exactly what you were destined to do because of your history. The story of your family and in some of the involvement of your family. So, in a sense, yeah, at least one of you, as in the grandchildren, at least one of you should be doing this.
Right.
It just happens to be you.
And you know what? I also live by this motto. It's called, if not me,
Then who?
And if not now, then when?
Yeah.
I've got 4 steps. Usually I do a lot of speeches. And when I do these speeches, I generally will lay out 4 steps that if people use these steps, they have no choice but to be successful. And the 4 steps are, number 1, you have to make a decision. Before you do anything, you have to make a decision that you will be successful or you will move in a certain direction. The second thing you have to do is you have to make a plan. And this is goal setting, right? A plan, put it in writing, because when you put it in writing, it's a message to the universe.
Yeah.
Many people have plans, but they don't ever write them down. Oh, it's in my head. Well, where are your goals at? They in my head. Put them on paper, because now it becomes a written plan. And sometimes when you put them on paper, start writing on how you will do that. If you say, well, I want to read 10 books this year, which is one of my goals every year, is to read 10 books. And if I don't make 10 and I only make 9, that's 9 more books than somebody who didn't have anything on their calendar to read. have read. Many people don't
Right.
finish a book once they finish high school. So a written plan. Number 3, people have to find someone who is selfless as opposed to selfish that will help you get there. There are so many mentors who can help us get to the next level. We just have to seek them out and not be afraid to ask for help. And when I say selfless, that means these people aren't going to be worried about you getting to where they are and say, oh, well, you're a manager now and I'm a manager and I help you become a manager. I can't help you anymore because I don't want you to keep going further than I do.
Right.
These people are people like your parents who are here. So whatever success they have, they want to see you go further. If I become a state senator, my daughter should be able to be the governor or the president.
Right.
She shouldn't be able to just say, well, I became a state senator because my dad was a state senator. Hey, go further. I have a master's degree. Her mother has a law degree. Then she should be able to have a PhD or whatever she wants to have because her parents have already attained a certain level. She needs to go further.
Right.
So find a person who's selfless as opposed to selfish. And then the final step is people have to go. They cannot accept no for an answer. They cannot wait for somebody to say, it's not your turn. And I always tell people, don't let somebody tell you it's not your turn because you're waiting for your turn, you'll be dead. Right? Oh, well, they said it ain't my time yet. You
Take
have
that.
to get ready to move.
Yeah.
And even if you're not successful, don't worry about failing. Les Brown also says that if you fall, try to land on your back because if you can look up, you can get up.
Yeah. You know, I have a view on being selfish, and you and I will talk about that at another time because of time restraints right now. There's a question in the pot for you. What are some of the things that you have achieved or spearheaded for the community that you represent? I want you to remember that question because when we talk about Senator Bobby Powell, the senator, tonight we've been focusing on Bobby Powell, the individual. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about Bobby Powell, the senator. And that question right there is one of the must answers.
Perfect. Well, real quick, and I'll hit on this, and then we can take a deep dive in another conversation.
Yeah.
As a state senator and as a community leader, some of the things that I've done is I've had numerous town halls where we've discussed issues that are going on in Tallahassee.
Right.
I've pushed legislation, and I've also changed legislation that deals directly with direct file of juveniles, meaning that here in Palm Beach County, we were one of the highest ranking places where they filed children between the ages of 14 and 17 into the adult prison system. And recently, just this year, I was able to put legislation in play to prevent that from continuing to happen at the high rate that it was happening here in Palm Beach County, but not only in Palm Beach County, in the entirety of the state. There's been issues related to criminal justice and juvenile justice. One of the biggest things I stepped out on this year was one of these judges by the name of Judge Pasternakis sentenced a young man, and it made national news, DeAndre Somerville, to 10 days in jail, a full year probation, a fine, and full year probation, and something else for missing jury duty. And myself, along with Edwin Ferguson and members of the community, I put out there a complaint against the judge that went to the Judicial Qualifications Commission. But also, we put the pressure on him. We got out there. We had press conferences. We actually asked for him to resign, but that never happened. But there were several things that we put in place to make sure that our community has a voice.
Right.
I've done numerous giveaways and worked with other community members and community leaders to make sure that we're in the community, we're prepared, we're vigilant. I work with Javante Edmonds, who does Suits for Seniors, to create professional development opportunities for kids in our communities, giving back to the homeless, just numerous opportunities to be out in the forefront to push our community in the forefront. So those are just some of the things, and we can take a deep dive later in terms of the impact that these things and others have had on our community.
Right.
But those are just some of the things that I've been able to spearhead in this position to make sure that our representation is there in our community as a young black male in Palm Beach County who is lucky enough to be a state senator, which just usually doesn't happen.
Doesn't mean that it can't. And
Doesn't
you've
mean it
proven
can't.
that it can.
This is correct.
Senator Powell, I want to thank you for taking the time out to join us tonight to give us some insight as to who Bobby Powell is. And you and I will coordinate for the follow up to what Senator Bobby Powell does.
Well, DJ Kevin Stew, I want to thank you for bringing me on your show. It was a great opportunity to fellowship with you and your listeners. Tomorrow in Palm Beach County, Lake Park to be exact, I'll be hosting a town hall with my
Nice.
colleagues. What?
Nice. Very nice.
Yes, at 7 p.m. in Lake Park at Lake Park's Town Commission. I think it's on my Facebook, but myself and State Representative Al Jaquette will be teaming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also working on some issues related to the 2020 census. The governor recently released a complete count committee, which I had been pushing along with Representative Anika Umfroy. So the governor has finally said that we will have one. So I'll be replying to his comments tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just continue work. Nothing slows down. We're preparing for session. I'll be going to Tallahassee next week. But, I would tell everybody to follow me on Instagram at Senator Powell, P-O-W. They can find me on Facebook at Bobby Powell. Or I'm also on Twitter, and I don't know my Twitter handle, but I'm easy to find on Twitter as well.
Right.
So thank you for this opportunity, and I'm glad to join you tonight. And hopefully I've inspired somebody to jump out there and serve their community the way I've been blessed to do. If I can do it, they can do it.
Definitely. All right. You and I will continue to be in touch and see if we can secure a date for the follow-up to this. We have to make it quick so that people don't forget. Although you can always go back and catch this show in the archives. And if you go to kevinstew.com and scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see video archives. You will see this show in it by tomorrow morning.
Oh, wonderful. I look forward.
All right. So, Senator Powell, I do pray for your continued success, and I do encourage you to keep on encouraging those that you come into contact with, young and old.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother.
All right. We'll be in touch. Take care. Have yourself a good night. And please thank the family for allowing you to spend some time with us.
I will do. Thank you, my brother, and y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you, man. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Bobby Powell, live and in living color. There was not much that I wanted to put out there in the post introducing tonight's show, because all of it you needed to be here to experience. And that taste that we got of Senator Powell is beyond words. And I do look forward to the other part where we get to know the side of him that represents Palm Beach County in the Senate. And not because he represents Palm Beach County doesn't mean that the rest of Florida doesn't benefit. Like I said, what happens in one little corner really affects the rest of the room. And we have seen where things that he has put in place for the county has been effective across the state. So we'll be back to talk some more with Senator Bobby Powell about the work that he's doing in the Senate and in the community. So stay tuned for that. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to come back and have a mini musical therapy. Yeah, that's pretty much what it'll boil down to. I want to thank Reggae Global Entertainment for sponsoring the previous segment, and Reggae Global Entertainment will take care of your event needs, your promotional needs as artists, entertainers in the global community. They do event management, they do social media. All you gotta do is give them a call, 954-998-8034. Don't let reggae, the reggae in Reggae Global fool you. Right? It is all encompassing. So just give them a call. Tell them you heard about them on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. That's 954-998-8034. We're gonna take a quick little break, and when we come back, we go into musical therapy. All right? Stick and stay, call someone, tell someone.
Land We Love Media Group presents Saturday Night Live on Saturday, January 25th, inside the Garden, featuring Lieutenant Stitchy. Also performing, Ed Robinson, Benji Meyer, and making their performance debut, SDS. Ricky Stereo and Little Nicky will also be performing, all backed by the award-winning Code Red Band. Admission $25 in advance. Saturday Night Live at the Garden, 4340 North State Road 7 in Lauderdale Lakes. Be there.
Matthew 28:19 says, "Go ye therefore and teach all nations." With this in mind and encouragement received during a South Florida media conference, The Church Links was birthed. The Church Links is an interdenominational worship service portal for churches, providing the tools to spread the word through technology in a cost-effective way. The Church Links, www.dahchurchlinx.com. Your links to worship and praise.
Hi, this is Cara Manti, and you're listening to DJ Kevin Stew, and this is the Night Shift.
Now the lion make him roar. Goodness and mercy shall follow I. Steps of the righteous man are ordered by the Most High. Yeah. You can't kill me dream, you can't stop me hustle. You fight where you want, fight it just build up me muscle. Cause you can't kill me dream, you'll never stop me hustle. No way, no. Tell you say you can't kill me dream, you can't stop me hustle. All the fight you want, fight it just build up me muscle.
Welcome back to this abbreviated musical therapy.
Stop me hustle, no way.
Kicking it off a little Korik, Can't Kill My Dream.
That mean my will is strong and my foundation is unshakable. Enough training, enough practice, I got this, now I'm capable. Me ready for whatever, not doing this for pleasure. I'm coming with the pressure, time for work and no leisure. I'm coming for that treasure, at the top is my endeavor. And if you're waiting for me to give up, you wait forever. Cause I am not a quitter, I endure to be the victor. One more thing to consider, remember say you can't kill me dream, you can't stop me hustle. All the fight you are, fight it just build up me muscle. Cause you can't kill me dream, you'll never stop me hustle. No way. Remember say you can't kill me dream, you can't stop me hustle. All the fight you are, fight it just build up me muscle. Cause you can't kill me dream, you'll never stop me hustle. No way. I've got the I have a tiger and I'm never gonna give up. Spirit of a fighter in me and it and lift up. If you sit down on me chair, you know you have to get up, cause I'm coming for my share. Run post a figure, kick up opportunity. No waste, cause them the things me grab and grip up. Try keep up, cause if you're waiting for me to give up, you wait forever. Cause I am not a quitter, I endure to be the victor. One more thing to consider, remember say you can't kill me dream, you can't stop me hustle all day. Fight you and fight it just build up me muscle, cause you can't kill me dream, you'll never stop me hustle.
I want to say thanks to GMAT Music Solutions for sponsoring this segment of the show.
You can't kill me dream, you can't stop.
Providing light and stage production services, sound, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, musicians, singers.
Hustle no way. No.
Bringing your event to life, GMAT Music Solutions.
Since we run this race, just the process, me no hear no haste. Keep on track,
give them a call, 754-307-GMAC.
Not an easy road, it's not an easy road.
That's 754-307-4622.
But you can't kill me dream.
Or visit them at gmatmusicsolutions.com.
Fight you and fight it just build up the muscles. Say you can't kill me dream and you never stop me hustle no way.
The sound of Korik. It's called Can't Kill My Dream.
Kill my dream, can't stop me hustle, lolly. Fight you and fight it just build up me muscles. So you can't kill me.
And how true is that?
Stop my hustle no way.
Kind of sounds like what Senator Powell was talking about just now, doesn't it?
Louder lion, right harder by the both sides.
Can't kill my dream, cause I'm not a quitter. You will never stop my hustle. Because it's all about continued growth, right? We have to be constantly evolving. That comes with getting a little bit of knowledge.
Evolution, come on, evolution.
You can't just sit down and expect the knowledge to come.
Didn't know who I was.
You have to do something to get it, and then when you get it, you have to apply it. This is one of Una Morgan. The track is called Evolution. This features Jedi and Brida Briglia. You know, I'm wondering if it was supposed to be Brida Briglia.
Pull up with the glizzy gon' OD. All these little bodies and they know.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
The glizzy gon' OD. All these little bodies and they know me. Rockstar Bon Jovi. Rockstar Bon Jovi. All these little bodies and they know me. Rockstar Bon Jovi. I learned it was chores, don't get lost in emotion.
You have my word, I'm gonna ask you now about it.
Shots make you jump up, gon' party till sun up like we don't got nothing to lose. All through the come up and working to stun on my get what I want, yeah I choose. From winter to summer, I keep me my gunner, but haters they want me to snooze.
Evolution, my evolution, my evolution. This evolution, evolution. I wanna say evolution. Me what you want me I fi do, say what me I fi say. Okay, what you I fi say, say what me want fi say. Up we say, up we say, up we say. That just say, up we say, up we say, up we say. That just say. Now it's time for me to be grown. No more time for games, no more time for playing. I will never ever be alone. Gotta make a change, time to rearrange.
Evolution, mind captivation, feel the vibration, never watch fade. Fun on pollution, Afro evolution with a bun. Hip word, I'm a weapon. Rise from the ashes with vengeance, sending the blessings every sentence. Feeling my essence in your presence, ayy. Whoa, 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 ayy. Mix the evolution with a bun. Living in illusion through all the confusion. I forgive thanks for the almighty one. Still remain strong in a white man land. Mix the evolution with a bun. It's a evolution with a bun. Miss the evolution with a bun. Okay, no pollution. What we say? What we say?
Evolution, my evolution. Ain't no illusion.
And you know, this evolution, it goes across the board with things that we're doing. Becoming better at what we do because we're learning as we go along. The track that I'm going to leave us with tonight, it more speaks to that of some ladies that have grown in their field and are still growing. And I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to, over the last few years, see them grow individually. And now for them to be even going a step further in their careers as a group, it's one of those stories that is just heartwarming. And I heard these ladies talk on an interview this past Saturday night on Hot 105, and and as they continue to do more interviews and you hear their story, you just can't help but say, you know what? I am going to set out to make a change and to improve myself. And these ladies have been doing that. So I close out tonight with the ladies of Sensational Dynamic Sound, affectionately known as SDS, and their breakout, their debut single called A Woman in Love. This is how I leave you tonight. Y'all take care. Catch you tomorrow. Healthy love right here, 10 to midnight, kevinstew.com. Peace. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. Catch you later.
It's the same old story. You care, but you don't love me. Though I know it still hurts to hear the truth. Don't expect me to forget you. I love
priceless, consider the ability to share that moment. If you can video it, you can broadcast it. And Pulse E-Media Group has the tools you need. Weddings, birthdays, funerals, graduations, church services, parties, seminars, you name it. Pulse E-Media Group can provide you with a secure medium controlled by you to broadcast your event. Contact us at www.pulsemediagroup.com for more information. Pulse E-Media Group, when being in the moment is priceless.